All right, this is from Brownswire.com. 3 position battles to watch as we wait for training camp, and we've touched on a couple of them. First one is swing tackle. They say James Hudson versus DeJuan Jones. Second one, back of the room defensive tackle. Some of the guys that we've mentioned. Perion Winfrey versus Maurice Hurst versus Tristan Hill. And then running back 3, Demetric Felton versus Hassan Hall versus to be determined. When you look at that swing tackle, Jones is a guy that's intriguing just because of his sheer physical size and his feet, and he has first-round talent.
Yeah, DeJuan Jones coming out, it still shocks me the Browns were able to get him as a 4th-round pick. It really does. I mean, he's 6'8", 370 pounds. He's a mammoth of a man, and as an offensive tackle, he has so much potential. He's 21 years old. I mean, this is a guy that you expect Bill Callahan to be able to mold and to be a future starter for you on the offensive line. And let alone this year being your 6th offensive lineman and your swing tackle. He's got way more potential, I think, than James Hudson. James Hudson, the thing with him is he has not played offensive tackle that long in his career. At Cincinnati, they transitioned him, I think, either a sophomore year, made him into an offensive tackle. It's going to take time for him to learn. He's still learning the position if we're thinking about, especially playing both sides of the line. But DeJuan Jones has all the potential in the world. And if he becomes the player we think he can be, even as a rookie, the Browns have an absolute steal in DeJuan Jones. So I can't wait to see what Bill Callahan is able to mold him into. If you can get him to buy in, because that is a big thing, is motivation with DeJuan Jones. If he can control his weight, buy into Bill Callahan, the Browns have a future starter at the position and maybe a future Pro Bowler at the position.
Yeah, you're talking about a 6'8", 370 guy that can move. All right, the back of the rotation defensive tackles. How do you think that one plays out? And I like Hurst. I'm with you, though. If he's healthy, it's going to be a guy that plays snaps in certain situations because Jim Schwartz will mix and match to benefit Maurice Hurst.
Yeah, the back end of the defensive tackle, where we still have Perion Winfrey, you have Maurice Hurst, Tristan Hill. I still put Jordan right now. Some would say Jordan Elliott probably is that starter defensive tackle, just with experience. And it sounds like Jim Schwartz is liking what he's seen from him so far this offseason. I like Maurice Hurst, I really do. As you mentioned, he is a rotational guy for me, only because I don't know if his body can hold up as a full-time starter. I think that's the biggest question with him always is injury. He's got the potential. He's been starting next to Dalvin Tomlinson in OTAs and minicamp. I like what he brings to the position. Perion Winfrey is still a question mark because you think there's talent there. He also has had legal trouble. It looks like he's been cleared of that this offseason. So you're hoping he gets his head on straight, because I do think there's some talent there that Jim Schwartz can work with, but I'm curious to see how that back end shapes up, because I think Tommy Togiai might be a roster cut or a practice squad guy. Curious to see what happens with Tristan Hill, because I was not a huge fan of that signing. But at the same time, I trust Jim Schwartz and the talent that they have at the position.
Yeah, the third running back will be interesting. Felton is a guy that was playing wide receiver. So it leads you. They say he's looked good and he could be that pass catcher, but you're still kind of wondering if they liked him as a running back, why'd you move him to receiver?
I've always wondered that. Now, at UCLA, he's shown that he could do both, and they kind of used him as that Swiss Army knife type of player. But then you drafted him, and essentially he was going to be a running back in your return man. The return game has not gone well for him, we've seen. That has not been a good experiment for him. At wide receiver, you saw him getting snaps in the slot. He didn't really get the ball very often. And then if you want him to be your pass-catching back, that's fine. But I rather have molded him as a rookie into that role, as opposed to, you've played in the slot the last couple of years, we're going to move you back to running back. So I'm a little optimistic there. I'm not fully confident in them doing that, but a lot of fans really like Demetric Felton and feel like he can be that third down guy. So let's see what he can do in training camp and in the preseason. Maybe he can be that guy, but if he doesn't, then you still have to go out and add another running back, because you did bring in Hassan Hall. We don't know if he's going to make the roster, especially now that the NFL has changed the way kick returns are. So what the Browns do at third running back, I'm still not convinced by John Kelly. Nothing against him. I just think he's a practice squad running back. He has been the last couple of years he's been here. So right now, Demetric Felton, Hassan Hall, I think you still need to go out and add somebody.